Good afternoon, everyone. I call to order the GCC board meeting, regular board meeting, June the 8th, 2021 at 4:45. We will start with roll call. Roll call, Mr. Mark Anderson,
Here.
Mr. Harry Block, not arrived yet, but coming. Mr. Bruce Mandrick,
Present.
Mr. Jack Turner,
Here.
and Lily Campbell present. 4 board members currently present at this time. Again, welcome everyone. We are so glad to see all of cabinet here. We're glad to see our administrators who will be speaking to us in a few minutes, and our administrative assistant, Ms. DeMarco. Welcome everyone. We are so happy that you're here. And to those of you who are watching us online or virtually, welcome, and we're glad that you're with us this evening. So with that, we will start our regular board meeting. Do we have any public comments for today? Mr. Sample, any public comments?
Madam President, there are no public comments.
No public comments. Thank you. And we will go into...
Madam President, there are no public comments.
Yes, I did get that. No public comments. We will move into our superintendent's update, and Mr. Sample, you will be doing an update for us. Can you hear me?
All right. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Yes, thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Good afternoon. So let me first off by saying that tonight I'm giving your superintendent's report. Dr. Sina Peterson sends her regrets. She had a family emergency, and so she will not be joining us tonight. But the superintendent's report is just kind of an update of some of the activities that she's been involved in this week. The first one that we would like to share with you is that we have completed all end-of-year events, and I will say those events ended with excellence. And definitely a huge round of applause goes to each of our administrators, each of our staff for really their tireless work to do a great job on that. I will tell you it was a very busy week. All the sites did a great job following and managing the safety protocols, as well as keeping everything in place to create a very meaningful yet safe environment. And so for that, we are very, very happy and very excited for the work that happened. So COVID-19, we can't have a meeting without sharing with you what's happening in terms of our COVID-19 update. Sacramento County has moved to orange, which we're very excited about, and that's great news for us. Yolo County remains unchanged, and then we will continue to monitor the ongoing changes and trends that are happening. Currently, June 15th is still the governor's date to drop the tier system and open the state fully, and so we'll continue to watch that. And then Cal OSHA has a series of guidance and updates that we are share some more information with the board later on during the study session about what that means for GCC and our schools. Twin Rivers charters. We have completed all charter site visits with consultant Francie Heim. Very positive visits, very enjoyable time with all of our schools. She spent some time with both Dr. McCormick, myself, Dr. Peterson, Mr. Thornsberry, initially just to go through each of our schools, what was going on, what was happening, and she was very pleased with the work that we have. We're currently in the process of planning the site visits for both Sac City Unified as well as Yolo County Office of Education, which will happen sometime during early July. And then, as we shared at the last meeting, we completed the visit with the San Juan Unified School District with Director Michelle Flagler and the new director, Mr. Brian Gentry. Did I get that correct? Getry from San Juan. All right. Furthermore, we're kind of reviewing the timeline for renewals based on some pending legislation. And again, we'll share a little bit more of that with you during the legislative update. We continue to work with Lau Kurtman and Wendy York. We had a meeting with them to kind of wrap up the year and review kind of our coherence work for this past year, as well as looking ahead to next school year. Really happy about the work that each of our sites have done, and again, want to affirm the commitment of our principals, our site administrators, each of our coherence teams for really their diligence in the work that they have done this year with coherence, and really with the work that we have ahead in the new year. Staff evaluations have started for all administrators. We have a very comprehensive process that includes both the reflection as well as discussions with the administrators. As the board may remember, we call that the ROPE, or Reflections on Administrative Practices. So we're deep in the process of that with multiple meetings that are occurring over the course of the next couple of weeks as we kind of continue the evaluation process and discussion with each of our administrators. 'Tis the seasons for retreat. So we actually kick off our 2021-22 school year with our retreat starting tomorrow morning at, if I'm correct, Dr. McCormick, 8 a.m.? So we are looking forward to a wonderful 2 days with our administrators, going through, kind of setting the stage for next school year as we get ready to kick off. Cabinet has been in full retreat planning mode. I will tell you, even to the point of this afternoon, late Dr. Peterson has been working on a number of presentations that she will be sharing with our administrators and staff coming over the next couple of days. So we're really excited. We're also excited that we have kind of constituted and held a couple of focus groups with administrators and other staff to get blueprint as we prepare to kind of see what our next year's blueprint will look like. LDA. So on Monday, we completed our 7th and final session of Leadership Development Academy. We were really excited. We had a number of staff members who, even though they were off calendar, still came to the final LDA really to talk about, and Dr. Peterson led this one, around the future and innovation and future vision. So we want to just take this opportunity to affirm and congratulate all of our class members and all of our future leaders for really a phenomenal job. And I think each of them will tell you we had a time where they could kind of share some things that they learned. And I will tell you, board, it was a very impactful LDA session this year, and we were really happy to be able to offer it during this time. Finally, we like to kind of say kudos to the semester's Crucial Conversations cohort. We wrapped up with this group week before last, and they are now master communicators. And we've already started looking to see what staff members will be a part of next year's cohorts as we continue to share Crucial Conversations. Some other meetings that Dr. Peterson attended was the Access Superintendents Council, as well as preparing for the EdSource board meeting that is coming up. Finally, board, we like to just draw to your attention that tonight, under purchases over $30,000, that this item had a minor revision to the fiscal impact that we noticed after posting. The board, as well as the public, did receive an update of that item on Monday morning, but we just wanted to make sure for the record that we noted it. With that being said, that is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Sample. Board members, any comments, any questions? Seeing no hand. Oh, welcome, Mr. Block. Did I see your hand? You're on mute.
Just
Yes,
let you know that
Block.
I'm here. Yeah, that's all.
Beg your pardon?
Just let you know I joined the meeting.
Yes, I was going to acknowledge you. Thank you. We're glad you're here. Thank you. One question. You talked about the retreat starting tomorrow for administrators. When do they go on break?
So next week, or this week, will be the last week for our vice principals, and then the following week will be the last week for our principals, and then the week after that will be our directors, and the week after that will be cabinet. So we are starting that, what I call the final weeks of most calendars, but for the most part, everyone is still on calendar.
Okay, I just want to make sure that everyone gets a break to kind of calm down and relax for a few minutes, just a few minutes. Okay, any other questions or comments from any of the board members? Seeing none and hearing none, thank you so much, Mr. Sample, for your update for the superintendents. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now we shall go into our study session. And the very first study session will be Futures High School Annual School Report. And we're so glad to see you here from Futures, and thank you for your time and your being here. Mr. Sample, will you?
Mr. Semple, do you want me to start sharing the screen?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, so we're very happy again. Futures High School Principal Natalia Panashuk and her team. I think tonight she has her curriculum coach as well as her vice principal, and she will introduce both of them.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Ms. Natalia.
Oops. All right. Good evening, everybody. Madam President, it's so good to see you. I really hope to see you face to face soon. Board members, really great to see you. Feel very comfortable. Cabinet and my colleagues. And today I'm very happy to say that it's first time in years that we are going to be presenting as a team. That we have a wonderful admin team, and today with us we have Crystal Buda, our curriculum coach, and our very new vice principal, Delilah Hernandez. So, the first picture, on the front, just wanted to remind everybody, I'm not sure if you've seen it before, Dr. Peterson communicated that and shared the koi fish and as a symbol of persistence and a symbol of upstream thinking. And that is a symbol for this year, a lot of persistence. So you'll hear it in our report. So as usual, we start with good things because there are a lot of good things that are happening. We received the CKH Showcase School Award the second time. This is our second year that we received that award, which we continue to be a national showcase district. Very few schools or very few districts that have that honor, and we're very happy that we continue to provide that excellence in service for the students. We did a lot this year with equity work, and this is going to be I will talk about it more in depth in the next slides. We continue to collaborate with our wonderful schools partners, COA and HLA. And this year, even when we were in distance learning, we still were collaborating, meeting with parents from both schools, providing that support for them in transition, providing the updates, what's going to happen, and preparing the students moving to high school. We completed 2 very successful 30-day challenges. Those are the online platforms that allow students to go in and learn about either a value or one theme and practice that theme. And in the fall, when we were in distance learning, the students learned about unity and staying connected. So it was a great opportunity for the students for 30 days to connect, to work together, to support each other, and it was very helpful. For the springtime, we focused on the successful mindset and how to be persistent and how to be optimistic. We thought it was very fitting for the students, for the staff, to look into the next year and end of the year with a lot of optimism. Also, one of the great things that were happening this year is that our students were able to participate in the Firehouse Cafe project. Wonderful skills that the students learned. They really love it. And I want to commend Jason Semple, Maisha, for lifting that project off the ground, and Mr. Terepkov in working on that cafe project. And I'm looking forward to going to that cafe, even though I don't drink coffee, but I would love to see what else is in there and to see how our wonderful students can create a business. So distance learning excellence, Crystal.
Thank you, Ms. Panasiuk. So futures achieve distance learning excellence and pursue distance learning excellence with the help of a few strategic moves. So first off, we transitioned to a block schedule with 3 longer classes each day rather than trying to squeeze in 6 classes a day. And we found that this was much more effective for keeping students engaged and in class, since they could focus on just a few classes at a time. We also adjusted our ELD program quite a bit over the course of the year. And in addition to our regular ELD classes, our English learners utilized extensive tutoring from our paraeducators and from their own peers as well, from the National Honor Society. We saw an influx of new English learners enrolling with us this year. And so we added a new teacher mid-year in order to ensure the quality of instruction. And we expanded the hours of one of our paraeducators. There are a lot of adjustments this year, as I'm sure there were with all of the sites. And of course, adjustments to technology, to pedagogy. You can see in the picture on the screen here, this is one of our new science teachers who is an amazing teacher. She's doing a lab in a hybrid classroom with our students and engaging the students that were in person and the students that were at home in that lab. And though we made a lot of adjustments in this time, there are also some things that stayed the same, such as our focus on our big goals of coherence and equity. So I just want to thank GCC for the work they've done with us to develop our goals around coherence and equity, because these really help to anchor us during this time of change all around us and helped us to achieve that distance learning excellence. Ms. Panasiuk?
Yes, so there are 2 sides of the coin, distance learning challenges. While we acknowledge the excellence and celebrate our wins for this year, because we've done a lot of work, we do acknowledge the challenges and the lessons that we learned. That in distance learning, it was challenging to keep students engaged. And they lost some time and they lost some skills, that socializing skills, that being that role model, seeing the teachers, communicating with each other every day, and just being in the routine and something that is in a familiar setting. So that was one of the big challenges, in having that collaboration, ongoing collaboration. Assessments, that's another piece that was a challenge during the distance learning, because the students are all over the place and they are supervised by their parents, and the parents have a different understanding, may have a different understanding what kids can do or cannot do. And so we're very, I would say, flexibly creative in finding the reliable data for this year to see how the students are progressing. We are working on the summer school this year to bridge that gap with the students who missed that in-person learning during the year. So our summer school right now is fully in person, and we have 60 students who are coming in daily for the full day and working with teachers and paraeducators and catching up on their credits and catching up on the skills. And again, another challenge that we found is that in addition to gaining the competency in technology for the teachers and for the students, we had to support a lot our parents who had to rely on Zoom meetings, on emails, on online platforms to communicate with us very often. So we factored that in, and we provided that extra support for the parents. And again, when the school reopened, we didn't have such high numbers as elementary schools did, or even middle school did. But high school, we found that it was, we were allowed to open so late in the year that some students did not feel like they wanted to go through another change. And they just stayed, they had other commitments, they had their schedules. So we had about 35% of students returning to the site daily. However, those numbers stayed stable. Nobody left. Once the students came back to the site, nobody opted out and said that, hey, I want to go back to distance learning. And a lot of students are asking if we're going to be in person next year, which is a good sign. Ms. Hernandez?
Delilah, you're on mute.
Thank you. Sorry. I was talking to myself, but it was good. I'm going to review some of the scores through the Renaissance program that is given to the students. And this one is going to be the reading level scores. So if you can, if you notice, it's given to all students in all the grade levels, both initially, which was at the beginning of the school year, mid-year, I forget if it was in December or in January, because I actually started with the school in February. So these are scores that were given before I was here, but the end of the school year was these scores. And if you can see, if I can move everybody out of the way, unfortunately, 9th and 10th grade saw a negative growth, but the good thing is that our juniors and seniors did grow in reading levels, 39 and 41 points. And as a school, our growth, although was negative, it was not a huge negative number to say that students, the majority of them are distance learning. Number was not as catastrophic as I would say it was for the freshmen and sophomores. And we're catching a lot of the freshmen and sophomores now in summer school as well. So although this may not be good, this is a really good number to focus on our juniors and our seniors. So and this is just for reading right now. So on our next slide, this is our math scores, also through the Renaissance program, also initial, mid-year, end-of-year scores given per grade level. And if you notice on this one, there is no negative scores. This is all growth, and which is kind of a little odd that the freshmen and sophomores who actually were on the negatives for reading are actually, freshmen were one of the highest. It's actually the highest number right here when it comes to math. And math is a tough subject because it tends to be the area where students struggle, but they came in and they beat out everybody in the growth. So we are doing something really well over our futures. The seniors, and not to say that the seniors are losing their math skills, but there's a few seniors that don't need to take math by the end of their high school career. So this could be something to say about that, or it could be that they were not trying very hard because they had other things to worry about, like college applications and whatnot. So the fact that we have positive numbers is a huge positive for the school and the teachers, the paraeducators that have been helping the students as well. So kudos to everybody over at Futures because they made this happen through a difficult year, pandemic, stay at home, hybrid schedules, coming back, not coming back, and whatnot. But as a school, the average of 26 positive points growth is, I think, a huge positive that we need to focus on as well.
And throughout this year, we supported our students through various programs. Like Crystal mentioned before, we expanded our ELD program because our classes grew significantly. We had a lot of newcomers coming in, students who do not speak a word of English, and they needed a lot of support. And being in distance learning, they don't get a lot of exposure as it is. And being in distance learning, that gives them even less exposure to the language. So we made sure that we had paraeducators in Zoom. We had paraeducators during tutoring hours, office hours, making direct contacts. We started serving our ELD students since November. They were coming once a week just for the ELD newcomer programs. And we have a teacher and a paraeducator who were helping the students and working on the language skills. And like Delilah mentioned, that we have a positive growth from math because we focused on our math support, on math performance, since that was our lowest performance in the past, in the previous years. So we focused on helping that one-on-one, tutoring, office hours, small group, peer support, math had a nice digital has a nice digital curriculum component, so the students had access to various resources and various things they can access to get that help in math. We created this year, that was the first year that we tried very focused parent-teacher conferences, and I would like to affirm Delilah. She just jumped into that. I think that was her first week at site, and it's like, you were dealing with parent-teacher conferences. So she did all the scheduling and calling and putting people together and getting the buy-in from everybody. So instead of waiting out and saying that everybody wants to come in, and usually the kids that are high-performing kids, the parents are very willing and happy to come because they want to hear that their kids are great. And the kids that are not underperforming, the parents usually don't want to hear that as much. So we wanted to make sure that our message to the underperforming students comes in as from the caring partners. So we met with the parents and the students of underperforming students with team of teachers and admin. So our message is very clear, and what support system we can provide for the students. And I thought it was very helpful. We have a very positive feedback about that. We focused on social emotional learning, just like everybody else, because it was important to support the students through the change and to make sure that they are they do understand that we care, that we love them, and we do everything we can for them. And of course, it cannot be presentation about high school without talking about students and empowering them. So this year we had very active students that I'm very proud of, because they stepped up and they took a lot of initiative to run our National Honor Society chapter. They organized community service. So they were cleaning the neighborhood, and you can see the picture on the bottom that the students are in masks, and they all, that was totally their initiative. They created various school events for the purpose of uniting the students, and they organized peer tutoring. So they needed, if the students needed academic or social or emotional support, they provided hours. They were reaching out to the students, talking to them, so they were comfortable, talking to each other and asking for help. Also, we have very active student leadership who organized rallies. We had them in Zoom. We had a campfire with storytelling where all the students and teachers participated. We had very high attendance rate, very positive feedback. Also, the students were instrumental in organizing or implementing the program that's called Equity for All. And we'll talk about equity soon after Coherence.
So with Coherence, going back to what I mentioned before, despite a pandemic going on, we kept our focus on coherence and continued our coherence work with the math team and with the whole school. So the first column on the left highlights some of the things that we did with the math team. And like Ms. Hernandez and Ms. Panasuk said, we saw a lot of growth in math this year. And I think that is because of the work that we are intentionally doing shoulder to shoulder with our math team. We did a full team lesson study in the fall, which involved planning, teaching, revising, and reteaching math lessons. And we also did lesson studies in the spring, in addition to the weekly department meetings for math. And we've seen a lot of growth in our math team around the gradual release model, and we will continue to work on that next year in order to keep our momentum going. In the middle column, it mentions our instructional framework. So speaking about our school as a whole, we continue to engage with our instructional framework to ensure the coherence between curriculum, instruction, assessments, culture, and college and career. So for curriculum, during this pandemic, it caused us to reflect on our curriculum that we have for English and science. And we found that this is the right time to adopt a new curriculum. It may even be on the agenda for later today in the board meeting for our new curriculums for English and science in order to provide the best resources for our students and respond to the new realities around us. In our instruction, we continue to integrate EL support and SEL, socio-emotional learning, into our instruction, which is also part of our culture of empowerment to build student independence and also to support students, to have rigor and support together. And we are very, very excited for our new program that we're starting next year, AVID. AVID is a wonderful program. I was just in AVID training today. And it will help the students with the study skills and the socio-emotional and soft skills to help them for college and career readiness. So we're very excited to implement this program next year. It's a huge boost for our college and career culture. So looking overall at our plans for next year in the third column there, like I mentioned, we will continue to keep that momentum with our math team and continue to mobilize the collective expertise of our staff and empower our teachers with shared leadership. We will also work on scope and sequence for our courses with our new adoptions and with all of our courses to remediate the learning gaps. So that's our some of our plans for Coherence for next year.
Thank you. Shifting on to technology.
That's me, right?
Mm-hmm.
To piggyback a little bit on what Crystal just said with the adoption of new curriculum, that adoption of those curriculums is actually going to be online curriculum. So our students won't have to be carrying and lugging around the big heavy textbooks. It actually is all going to be online. So that 1-to-1 ratio of Chromebooks for the students is going to come in very handy. Having the hotspots for them as well, so that they have access to the internet and they don't have to worry about going somewhere else to get that internet if it's not available to them at home. There was a lot of learning, both from the students and the teachers, on how to use the new technology, but I think that they have now reached a competency level on how to use all the new tools, especially with Zoom. And I learned how much they have used it when I came in and did all those parent conferences, because everybody was just on top of it. And including the parents, when you call them and say, we have a conference, but it's on Zoom. Okay, so where's my link? I'm ready to go. And the level of engagement was amazing to see with those students and the parents and the teachers. Parent communication and the data via online platforms is also something that is strong with the community, because the students have their own accounts, one on Aries, and parents were not so much, but the parents want their own accounts. They want to be able to communicate with the school, with the teachers. They want to stay updated with the grades, the attendance, anything that's going to help the students be more successful at school. And then I just jumped into the curriculum with a strong digital component, which is in our language arts and science curriculum, which makes it accessible to all the students, and having the hotspots for them will make it even more so once they're at home if they need that extra support.
As I mentioned before, as I promised, we're going to talk a little bit about our progress in working on equity, inclusion, and diversity. And we have spent a considerable amount of time and effort this year talking to students and teachers and working with Hanover, working with the GCC. And I would like to thank the cabinet, Dr. Peterson, pretty much everybody who starts the conversation, starts talking, and keeps that conversation on top of the agenda, that we are learning more, we are coming to a common and shared understanding, and we're improving our practices. So we're looking into improving equity and inclusion in the relational capacity with the students and also in our instructional practices. So everything we do right now is we're looking through equity lens. So we went through the implicit bias training, and that was an introductory training. So we're hoping that we're going to have more next year. It's always nice when we have experts who are sharing their stories and who are sharing research. This is really helpful. Hanover helped us a lot with the data and with our understanding of what equity is, which is common understanding. Also, we believe that the students are our partners, and it's all for them. So they need to be part of it. They need to start making decisions and take responsibility for it. And they have a lot of good ideas, and they pretty much know what they want. So they created the Equity for All program this year, where they did a whole bunch of presentations in each class. They celebrated Black History Month, Women's History Month. They invited guest speakers. They even created an advisory board on their own. So they have an equity advisory board that consists of parents, students, and teachers. And they get together once a month and they talk about the progress, what's going to happen next, what works, what doesn't work, what surveys, what information or data we need to gather to help us out. And also for our part of the equity work that we did this year, we created a SMARTY goal. So the equity in instructional practices. And our SMARTY goal was about math performance. And we looked at what are the causes, why kids are not performing, which subgroups are not performing. And so we provided the additional resources, and we're very intentional. And I think the results are, it made a positive difference. And I wanted to share our equity statement. So this is again, it's a work in progress. We plan to expand that to make a specific action plan. What are we going to do? What are our next steps? But we started with our vision and the equity statement, and that was actually created by the students, by the teachers, and the parents. So again, it's a little lengthy, but I underlined the most important verbs, the call to action that we identify, mitigate, eliminate, and implement. So those are the strong action words that, and this is something that we are very proud of, and the students are on board, and the parents are very excited and on board to participate and continue working on creating that safety and inclusion on the site.
And I get the privilege to, well, we all do, but I get to work with the teachers very, very closely. And we have amazing teachers and staff at Futures, and we want to continue to empower and build them up every year. So here are some of the ways that we accomplish that. Starting at the lowest block, as you can see, all of our teachers and staff have professional development, professional learning around inquiry cycles and equity norms and our social contract with CKH. And we also have a community of affirmations and various ways to affirm our teachers and staff. In the middle block, you'll notice some small group support, such as with teacher induction. We had 5 teachers this year in teacher induction, and it was great working with them. And we also have weekly department meetings and a lot of interdepartment collaboration. And then at the very top, we have individual support as well. We the data meetings, differentiated support, goal setting, TQAI, LDA, teacher leaders. And I want to thank the board for the TQAI, which allows us to identify the special skills for teachers and have that vision to give them some direction for some particular skills to continue to develop. And also, Mr. Sample talked about LDA earlier, and I was actually one of the participants in LDA this year, and so I wanted to just say how much I appreciated it, especially along with Dr. Peterson did a book study on leading while female. Sorry, forgot about it for a second. Leading while female, and those two went really well together, and I found them really encouraging and empowering. And so I wanted to, I know she's not able to be with us at this moment, but you know, I really appreciated those opportunities, and to have those opportunities available to everyone in our organization is amazing. So I really appreciate that, and all of the supports that we have along the journey, because as we see here, success is a journey, not a destination. And so I appreciate all of the supports that we have along the way.
And we really love and care about our parents and our community. So this year, it was very important for us to continue to build trust. So that is a big thing, big philosophy at Futures, that we want parents to be able to trust us, to trust our organization, to trust that we are professionals, to trust what we do, and their students are in good hands. So we, again, put a lot of effort on communicating with parents and telling them what's happening, especially this year with a lot of changes, with some ambiguity and back and forth and things that were not in our control. And we wanted to make sure that we provide that safety and we provide the assurances that we're still with them and we're ready to serve them. So we have, again, as usual, we have monthly radio program. We conducted several parent workshops, and we did them repeatedly. So it was convenient for the parents to do it during the day, in the evening, in the morning. We invited parents from HLA, from COA middle school, so they can get the information in and be prepared for next year. Like Delilah mentioned before, we had Parent Square, utilized Parent Square heavily this year, and it seems to be, it's a good communication tool that provides parents with reminders, with requests. So they, it's we're very happy, that we have this tool this year. So it was very, very timely to have it and implemented this year. Also, we have a new parent liaison who's starting next year. Right now, we have Jana, who's student support advisor, and she's going to become our parent liaison. And she's been with us for many years, and she knows the community well. She knows the students really well. She knows how to organize people, organize events. So she's a great addition to the team in this new capacity. And also Ms. Hernandez, our new vice principal, absolutely wonderful person. She's very relational, and she will be working with the parents, with the community, and just increasing that, trust for the school. So in the corner, you can see there are 5 C's that are guided by to increase the trust, the consistency, competency, candor, connectedness, and concern. So everything we do, every communication we have with parents, or every communication we send out to them, we make sure that we tap to 5 of those concepts, or 5 of those things. And as I mentioned before, we have HLA and COA collaboration, and also we have this year our students participated in the youth group for mental health. It's a partnership with the Slavic Community Center. They are advocating. So it's they organize a group of young people, high school students, who are advocating for expanding the resources and expanding the services for the mental health in the Slavic community, because the immigrants who do not have a lot of trust in what's happening, or may not be aware that there are resources, and a lot of teenagers that may be struggling with some emotions, and they're depression or other things that are troubling them, that make sure that they have the resources. So actually this youth group is advocating at the town hall. They're advocating to the people in power to help them out and bring it to the awareness of all the communities.
And here you have some of the results of our parent survey that was sent out as part of our LCAP process. These are not all the questions, but these are some of the more, I would say more of the, not so important, but there are some of the more important questions regarding student safety, and those that are more important to the parents. These questions, if you notice, are more agreeable to the parents, that they strongly agree with us when it comes to student interest. Like the first one, my school provides quality classes, activities that support my students' interests. The majority of the parents that responded agreed with us. They also agreed, about 90% of them, that they are well informed of the students' progress, that the students, or the parents, excuse me, feel welcome and greeted when they come to school, that they feel the school is a safe place for their students, that the staff at the school respects cultural, ethnic, and gender differences. Again, the majority does agree with us. There are some that may not disagree, may not agree completely, but I think that if we were to find that 100% of the parents agreed with us, that might be a flawed survey, because I don't think I've ever been in a survey or anywhere where everybody agrees on anything. My school actively seeks the input of parents to improve outcomes for students. Again, the majority, 86%, agree. And the teachers and staff treat students with respect is also in the majority of agree. So as you can see, we are, I think, providing a campus that is open to parents, that they can come in, ask questions if they need to. They feel safe, they feel their students are safe, and they feel that their voice is being heard.
Mr. Sample already touched on the charter renewal in his superintendent's update. So I don't have much to add. We're looking forward to the charter renewal next year. It's always, even though it's an intense process and it's a scary process, but we have a very strong team at the GCC, and we always have a lot of support and a lot of background work that we may not be even aware of or not participating in. And at times it seems, oh, it's easy. But we do understand how much work it goes to submit that document or to get the charter renewal. And it's always a good time to connect again with parents, with the students, to bring our voices, to the community and say that we're a good school. This is what we do. This is what we'd like to do. And we need your support. Next steps. What's next? Again, next year it's going to be about social emotional recovery and a lot of CKH excellence. Charter renewal. We're going to continue working on equity, so creating that environment that is safe, inclusive, diverse, and that we are working on instructional pieces, adding new curriculum that is a strong curriculum and with a strong digital component that is standard-based, standard aligned, introducing AVID program. So we are actually going through the summer training. Most of our teachers and our team, AVID team, are going through the training, and we have a plan how we're going to implement it next year. And again, working on that academic acceleration so the students can graduate on time with the skills that they need. Any questions?
All right. Thank you so very much for that. Board members, I will recognize board members who have comments or questions. Okay, Mr. Turner, I see your hand. Jack, you're still on mute. Jack, you're on mute.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
I want to thank you and your staff for the excellent presentation, and also for the collage of pictures you sent us, along with the thank you card that we received. I have a question for you. If you could, in depth, talk about what strategies you plan to use next year to motivate those students that may be reluctant or parents to go back to classroom instruction.
How did you know, Mr. Turner, that one of the efforts at the beginning of the year, we actually plan an orientation, kind of a back to school night, not when the students come back, but before that. So it's our summer campaign to talk to the students, to tell them that please come back, we care about you, we love you. These are the programs that we have. So this is our plan for the summer, to keep in that communication so the students are looking forward coming back and they feel safer and they know what to look forward to. Because again, last year we didn't know, they were not sure what to look for and what's going to happen to them. We plan to have a big orientation with some fun things, physical activities and some vendors and lots of hoopla to get the kids to come back, and so they can feel safe to come back. And of course, it's we always have that reluctance and think how many of them will come back. But for what we gather, the students are asking if, are we going to have distance learning next year or not? And there is a little bit of anxiety in that. And it's like, no, it's going to be face to face, and they seem to be happy about it.
Well, thank you for your comments. The reason I raised it is because I've been dealing with some of the administrators here at the community college, and they've had a significant drop in people applying for next fall because apparently the students have discovered they can work, they can still take online classes, and I'm sure with your juniors and seniors, there will be some of them that will want to do that. It isn't just your problem, it's going to be a problem
Yeah.
throughout the nation.
So we need to entice them, completely agree. And we are reopening, resurrecting our athletics program. So having sports back on campus right
good.
away, and that's something that we start right at the beginning of the year, is a big motivation for the students.
Yeah, I think the extracurricular program is a great idea. Thank you.
Yes, do I have any more hands? I am so glad to see, you said you had all kinds of things planned, the vendors and what have you. You need something that's going to entice them, something that will make them want to come first, and then hear what we have planned after that. And I am so glad to see that the math scores that you have really put so much emphasis on, and they have really improved, and the equity piece. So those are the two things that we really were looking at to see how it was going to go this year. And I'm very pleased at the progress that has been made, particularly with the math, which is an area of concern for the whole organization. So thank you for that. And the equity piece, of course, in SEL. So thank you so much, all of you. Any other comments from board members? Anything else? Ms. Panasiuk, we sure appreciate all the hard work that you guys have done. The new vice principal, we hope that you're comfortable and ready to continue with the work that you're doing. So thank all of you. Ms. Buddha, thanks so much, all of you, for your work. So
Thank you.
with that, oh, and when he talked about the gifts, I just want you to see, I have mine right here. Thank you so much. And whoever did the painting of the flower, it's on my bedroom wall right over my bed because it fits in with my motif there. So please thank the students.
Don't
And I
sell it
hope
on eBay yet.
Yeah, I hope we get a chance to visit with you, and when you have your back to school, we will be able to attend.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. All right. And with that, we're going to go into GIS, Annual School Report, Gateway International.
All right. So tonight we have Principal Joy Takoy and her vice principals who will share with us the report for Gateway International School.
Thank you, Mr. Sample and Ms. Campbell. Good afternoon, Ms. Campbell, board directors, GCC cabinet, and big shout out to Dr. Peterson, who's not able to be with us tonight, sending her prayers and positive thoughts for her family. As Jason mentioned, with me presenting tonight is our PYP Vice Principal, Ms. Stephanie Croyle, and our MYP Middle Years Vice Principal, Ms. Deep Dillon. As a team, GIS has accomplished many great things in the face of our most difficult year ever. And that's not an exaggeration, right? So while we ended last year strong, having supported students successfully with short-term distance learning, nothing could have prepared us for what is in store for this year. So I'd like to thank these two ladies, especially Deep and Stephanie, and all of our GIS staff who might be watching from home tonight for their enduring commitment to students and to GIS this year. Tough times bring out the true character of people. And this year, we saw what GIS is made of, strength and courage. So I'm incredibly honored and proud to share with you our successes tonight. Some good things at GIS include our return to in-person instruction. When Sacramento first hit the red tier in October, we brought students back 2 full days a week for hybrid learning, not just a few hours a day, but from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. This meant that our teachers were instructing students in person and online simultaneously. We had a successful TK through 5th grade IB renewal for primary years program with more than the average commendations from the IB organization. Also in November, we had a successful mid-cycle virtual WASC visit. And in November, we submitted to San Juan for charter renewal and received a unanimous vote of approval in February. Also with many accolades from the San Juan district. And we are finally able to say that our modernization is done and complete at GIS. You can see in this picture here, this is a lovely picture of our 2nd graders from Miss Lawhon's class. Our school is bright and colorful with flowers that the students planted on campus. We have a safe and welcoming environment that staff, students, parents, and you as our school board can be proud of. And Ms. Dillon will share with you about distance learning.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Coy. A little bit about distance learning. So what I want to begin with is that we begin the full year, at the beginning of the school year, we began with full distance learning and did it with excellence. All students were engaged with credentialed teachers 5 days a week for instruction and assignments matching the rigor of what would have been an in-person learning experience. In creating our schedules, we ensure that age-appropriate practices for each grade level and monitor students' online activity using the Go Guardian program. This became beneficial to us because we were able to track what students were doing and support them as they needed those supports. In order to do that, we made sure all credentialed and classified staff, including full-time and part-time, were provided laptops to work from home. And everyone played an important role in supporting students during distance learning. We also continued our after-school clubs virtually. As you can see a picture of our students here doing a cooking class virtually. We communicated with families regularly and held numerous community outreach events virtually, such as the Coffee with the Principal. School reopening for in-person instruction. So that was our next important thing that we wanted to make sure that we provided. We took care of business first. So we started planning, de-planning for in-person instruction over summer in hopes that we were going to return in some form of hybrid mode. So with that went a lot of work, training, and with all measures in place, we were able to open as soon as the county allowed. GCC staff played a major role in making this successful for us. We had COVID guidance from Mr. Sample and Dr. McCormick. Thank you for that. Tech support from John DeMarco. HR support from Laura Bergen, and we can't say enough about our nurses, especially Galen. These are all the people that responded at all hours and any day when we needed them. Thank you everyone for that support. We had very minimal COVID exposure and quarantining thanks to the commitment to following guidelines by our staff and families. Students initially attended 2 days a week starting October. And then as of March 1st, we modified to 4 days a week, and in April to 5 days a week. Thanks to the flexibility of our staff, we were able to modify schedules, allowing us to keep students and staff in small cohorts, which was required and best practice to limit exposure. Teachers have expressed to us that hybrid teaching was the hardest part of the year for them. Not only did they have to divide their attention between 2 groups all day, every day, one in person and one online, but they had to modify curriculum to adjust for in-person versus home learning. Kudos to them for staying the course, showing up every day, and proving that we can do hard things. Just a quick recap of where we stand officially with our state test results. The California dashboard shows CASP for 2019 scores in green for both ELA and math, and for all subgroups except English learners who are yellow in ELA. We grew 26.8 points in ELA and 13.5 points in math. And our English learners' progress is very high. This is where we have set our goals, English learners, and increase our math growth rate. And in order to help us with that, we are adopting a new math curriculum for next school year to help us with this goal. So student achievement, Renaissance this school year played a major role. In the absence of state testing, we administered Renaissance 4 times this school year. This is a comparison from August, which is the fall results, and comparing it to spring, which they took back in May. There's been much debate over the validity of these assessments with students taking tests at home. This is definitely the case for our fall assessment, which the students took while they were in distance learning at home back in late August, early September. The spring test, however, we give in person at school. Even our distant learners were required to come in person to take the test in May. The results are similar to what we saw in CASP the previous year, with ELA making more progress than math. School-wide, we see a growth at every grade level, with 71% at or above grade level, meeting the growth expectations. We use this data to track individual students with learning loss from last year to this year, and we'll continue to monitor those students into next school year. GIS is happy to make the switch from Renaissance assessment to iReady next school year, and would like to thank Ms. Heather Gold for her leadership in this area. We believe that iReady will not just be an assessment tool, but also a comprehensive intervention program that GIS needs. And I pass the baton to Ms. Croyle.
Thank you. So at GIS, we continue to make our systems coherent and meaningful for all staff. The IB program is the foundation, and everything else supports IB, and vice versa. With direction from GCC, we partnered with Wendy York Davoud from LTL 360 to create a plan for student improvement with a focus on writing. We went even deeper with our whole school vertical articulation using authentic writing samples, had a virtual PD for 6 traits of writing, along with a book study, and organized intensive lesson studies for each grade level team. This level of work is impressive considering much of it was virtual or organized with short staffing. So this is one of our favorite writing samples from this year from a 2nd grade IB unit. So it's how to make your own country. Number 1, you have to bring some people. 2, you need to find some land. 3, you claim the land. 4, you make an army, which needs to be strong. 5, you make some houses. 6, you make sure that no one takes the land. 7, take care of your people. And 8, make peace with other countries. So it's a good lesson for all of us. Thank you. So GIS did not lose sight of our instructional framework or goals this year. Instead, they became our simplified focus. GIS students will read, write, apply math concepts, and develop their social emotional skills. Our leadership team examined our instructional framework through the lens of distance learning and how best we might support students in these key areas. We suggested to teachers pacing and sequencing plans that included these key areas and prioritized them within the schedule. Our social emotional time was designated on Fridays with a new IB learner focus each week. Building students' learning skills provides a strong foundation for positive mental health. Technology, great. So GIS was in a very good place with technology at the end of last year, and we've only gotten stronger. We purchased more Chromebooks to replace the old, outdated ones that no longer supported programs and testing. We purchased hotspots for students, and all students had access to online curriculum components. So in addition to supporting students, we provided more than sufficient technology for staff, including new teacher laptops, new wireless smartboards in every classroom, webcams, tech hubs for multiple plugins, document cameras, standing technology tables. and of course, training and in-person support for staff to use technology. GIS has supported GCC's initiative to improve equity, inclusion, and diversity. As an IB school, this is incredibly important to us that all cultures, languages, races, people receive an equal and equitable education. We welcome the feedback and scrutiny to make our school better in these areas. We always consider ourselves open-minded and caring in these areas, but a school's actions must reflect their principles. So our goal this year was to take from our data, which shows English learners struggling. In response, we added new virtual and in-person support groups for newcomers and purchased new supplemental curriculum to use with these groups. We increased our usage of programs like Fast for Word with more fidelity, and we were able to maximize our bilingual paras within new schedules. Thank you to GCC and Mr. Crawford for building our capacity in the areas of equity and trauma-informed practices, and we look forward to learning more next year. Mr. Coy.
Thank you, Stephanie. So as Ms. Petersuk said, this year required us to be more creative and more innovative and stay more in touch with our community. And we had to learn new skills to do that. But we hosted virtual events for our families, such as orientation, back to school night, open house, career fair, and of course, informing them about our safety plans and reopening plans. Here you see a picture from when the Sacramento Zoo shared with us at our career fair about the many career opportunities available at the zoo. Mr. Daniel Bubella, our parent liaison, hosted monthly virtual assemblies for Student of the Month, trimester awards, and parent meetings. I'd like to affirm Maisha Britt for helping us numerous times with virtual and in-person events, and also Mr. Terepkov, who supported us with our lottery and with our multilingual advertisements to the community. It was even more necessary and important that we stay connected, communicate regularly, and maintain relationships. And I'd just like to affirm GCC as a whole, Mr. Sample and Dr. Peterson, for the whole GCC-wide communications that went out to families. I think were very beneficial. And we received feedback from teachers and parents that that was beneficial for them as well. GIS continues to maintain a high retention rate for our highest quality staff. This year was full of uncertainty and changes for them. So we tried to focus on the positive while giving people a little bit of grace in their time of struggle. We made a conscious effort to keep the energy level high by celebrating our achievements. We celebrated IB renewal with our PYP Pizza Day, our WASC review with waffles, and our charter renewal with cake. And this was in addition to our normal staff appreciation weeks in May. We value our staff at GIS, and we work to build their capacity by providing quality professional development such as CKH, IB training, GLAD, and technology training. And we are proud to say that we are a national showcase school for CKH 5 years in a row. Our charter renewal this year clearly demonstrates the collaborative relationship we have with our authorizing district, San Juan, not just GIS, but also the relationship GCC has with them. Many thanks to Mr. Sample for his leadership and guidance through the charter renewal process, and really the entire GCC team, because it requires much from everyone to make that happen. As Jason already mentioned, our San Juan liaison, Ms. Michelle Flagler, she joined GIS Zoom classrooms in the fall and also made an in-person visit to see our instruction in October. She's retiring, and the new incoming liaison is Brian Ginter. So we also continue to maintain relationships with other San Juan charter school leaders. I especially want to say thank you to Mr. Thornsberry for his work with the district and with the state to complete our modernization projects. And what's next for GIS? So next year, there will be a change in leadership roles and duties at GIS. I would like to thank Dr. Peterson and the board for your trust in me to lead GCC through in your IB pursuit. I am still thankful that I get to keep one foot here in GIS for next school year. GIS is special. With that change, Deep and Stephanie will both take on a more deeper role, and they will become campus principals. We, as most other schools, have had some students leave California to move to other states. This is a trend that we see, I think, throughout California. So part of our goal next year is to increase enrollment and maintain it at capacity. And of course, we will be looking to support our students to fill the gap of their learning loss. The good thing about that is we are already ahead of the game. We've already had students on campus for most of the school year. We've already been able to determine their level of learning loss and have already started seeing gains in loss from last spring. And so with that, we are happy to answer any questions that the board might have for GIS.
Well, thank you so very much, Ms. Joy, and your staff, Ms. Dillon and Ms. Coral. I'm mispronouncing that, I'm sorry. But thank you so much for your report tonight. So board members, before I start, do we have board members with questions or comments? Okay. It was a very good report. Thank you. And I am pleased when I looked at your achievement, how you have grown, continue to grow. And I do know that GIS is continue to make great progress. And I can't wait until we're able to visit with you in person as we normally do and see all of the progress that you continue to make. So thank you, each one of you. And congratulations, Ms. Joy, on your assignment and also to your administrative staff, what you will be doing next year. We are so proud as a board to be able to recognize you and to see the progress that all of you are making. So thank you. Yes, Mr. Turner, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
You're on mute, Jack. Okay, great.
Yes, I can't wait to, again, just an excellent presentation and congratulations on the test scores. They're very impressive in this overwhelmingly challenging year. And I want you personally to take us on a tour when you can of your facilities and the remodel. That has been a labor of love for what now, 3 years or longer? It's been just laborious. I know it has, but I can't wait to see the upgrades that you have. And thank you.
Yes, it looks like it's going to be really great to see. Really appreciate it. And thank you again for the gift of the Seas candy. We appreciate that. So thank you. We did get our gifts that you sent us from both of the schools. So again, we appreciate all of you and all of the hard work that you have done this year. We have tried to let you know how much as a board, we appreciate all of the work from all of the schools in this year that we've never seen before. So thank you for your continued perseverance and your dedication. It has been a year and a half, so we know that the struggles are there, but we appreciate everything that you've done for the education of all students. And Mr. Sample, are you going to give them permission?
Yes, I was going to say to both our Futures team and GIS team, on behalf of staff, we also affirm all of your hard work, great presentations tonight, and want to go ahead and give you the opportunity to sign off and enjoy the rest of your evening as we continue conducting the business. So thank you both.
So thank you much. Bye-bye.
See you bright and early in the morning.
Yes, it's not over yet. All right, so we're able to continue on with our board meeting. And the next item is in-person learning update.
All right, so this item is kind of our standing item that Dr. McCormick and I will share with you. I will tell you, this will be a fairly quick presentation, so we'll go to the next slide. As shared earlier during the superintendent's update, Sacramento County on last Tuesday moved to orange, which we were really happy about. If you remember, we had kind of been stuck at red for quite some time, and I will tell you at one point I didn't think we were going to make it by the 15th, but we did move to orange. So both Sacramento and Yolo are in orange. However, June 15th, next week, the whole system changes and sunsets. And so, as always, it's to be continued. Next slide. We continue to provide information around vaccines. What we've noticed is that from our meetings with public health, we're moving to a place where those who want to be vaccinated have been. And so we're seeing less clinics in our county. And again, it's just because they're kind of condensing. So we're still providing information regarding counties. The other part of this is most individuals now can receive their vaccine through their healthcare provider. If you're with Kaiser, you can get it directly through Kaiser, Sutter, etc. And so we're providing that information ongoing to our staff and families should they need the information. Okay, Dr. McCormick.
So we do not have to collect our percentage of students on campus. So very conveniently, the requirements of SB 98 sunsetted as of June 1, and we happen to be have ended school prior to that. So it worked out fairly well. However, I anticipate we will have some new layer of reporting requirement that may come our way as we learn more next week on June 15th, or even more as we start to get new guidance about what it will look like to have students back on campus in the fall. And then continuing, because we have some more celebrations that happened, we wanted to share some photos with you from many of the ceremonies we had on campus, off campus, drive-through ceremonies. It was just an amazing continuation of lots of celebrations and creativity, innovation, and perseverance from all of our school teams to make special evenings, daytimes, and other events in a whole new way. So, you know, code naming it Celebrating Our Milestones Pandemic Style. So it's a new way to look at how we do work. So, and that is the end of our presentation. And, you know, we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, comments, board members? Seeing none, hearing none, we shall move on to our next item, legislative update. And I think, Mr. Sample, that is also yours.
All right, so we just wanted to take a few minutes to update the board on some of the legislation that you may have kind of been hearing in the news lately, and we kind of want to share with you the work that we have done, that work that we have been doing around this legislation and what it means for our schools as we continue. So next slide. The very first one that probably most of you, I know some of you I've had conversations with about, is AB 1316. This bill was introduced by Assembly Member O'Donnell, who coincidentally was also the same Assembly member who introduced AB 1505 and 1507 a couple of years ago. This bill was really considered in the charter world as one that would greatly impact the work that we do. It would instill a lot of kind of what I call bureaucracy, red tape. It added additional auditing requirements for charter schools. I will tell you, we had less concern about that one because all of our internal controls, all of our financial, all of our audits are very high standard and best practices in the organization or in the industry, excuse me. And a lot of that really work goes and credit goes to our CBO, Aaron Thornsberry, for his dedication and diligence in that area. But it also added limitations to locations of schools, most notably non-classroom based, and it increased charter oversight fees from 1% to 3%. This bill, there was a lot of energy and work that went into it, especially and particularly from our team. Just to share with you, our Director of School, Parent, and Governmental Relations, Sergey Terekov, had a number of meetings with our various assembly members in this area. Director Maury Elliott likewise had a number of meetings with the various partners, industry partners that we partner with through SAVA. A number of them actually wrote letters or met with assembly members on our behalf to really look at how we could come together and fight this bill. We also did a very targeted reach to a number of our partners through the what it's called the ethnic chambers, which is the Slavic Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber, as well as the African American or the Black Chamber, to again let them know how this would be so impactful to our students and to our families. We're proud to say that at the end of this past week, this bill actually died and was moved to inactive, and so the Assembly did not pass this bill forward. And so we're very happy about that. And I will say that a lot of that work really came from just our team on this end, doing a lot of hand-to-hand, face-to-face work with our elected officials to, I think, make a very strong statement about how this will hurt our kids. Another bill that was introduced around this same time was a counter bill to 1316 was Senate Bill 593. It was introduced by Senator Glazier. This is actually co-sponsored by CCSA, the California Charter School Association, as well as charter schools in general. And this kind of still keeps the additional auditing and oversight by FCMAT for problem charter schools. And again, this was looking at, as they have called them, the bad apples. But it increased training also for auditors to know what to look for when they're performing audits of charter schools. This bill passed the California State Senate with a unanimous vote and has moved to the Assembly floor. Currently is being held at the desk. And part of the reason that it's being held at the desk is that we moved to my last bill on this is the budget trailer bill. What the budget trailer bill has really kind of over the years morphed into is, you used to look at it to see, okay, this is where we're going financially. This is what, the bills or the laws that are needed to enact the budget. But it's really become now where you have to look at every part of it. And so this year, the budget trailer bill has some key language that will impact us. One is basically what they're calling the charter school compromise language. So the language that was placed in it to take really the power of AB 1316 away, and it moves some of that language into the trailer bill. Most notably is it extends the non-classroom based moratorium to 2026. That was due to sunset this upcoming year, but it was a piece of AB 1316, and so this now moved it into the trailer bill. So we will likely have a moratorium continuing for non-classroom based. It also looked at adding, and it will add a 2-year extension of charters. So those who are up for renewal will receive an extension of 2 years for their renewal. We are continuing to see if this language makes the final bill. If so, we will be returning back to the board to share with you whatever our updated timelines for renewal may or may not be. But that is something that we're watching. Next slide. So COVID-19 related politics, believe it or not, in the legislation, COVID-19 is a political thing. So we continue. This is a little picture from the North Coast Journal that I just kind of felt like it sums it all up. Next slide. So here's some of the politics in particular around COVID-19. The first one is late last month in May, the CDC kind of shocked the world and said, hey, here's a new mask mandate and requirement. California very quickly went on the record and said, yes, that's what they're saying, but our CDPH, which is California Department of Public Health, our Sacramento County, Yolo County Public Health guidelines were still in effect, and also Cal OSHA guidelines, which governs the workplace, all still remain in effect. So it kind of began what has been always during the COVID, the continual, here's what the feds say, here's what the locals say. And at the end of the day, the local guidance actually holds more weight than the federal guidance in terms of things that we have been watching. We were very proactive in communicating not only to our staff, but to our families very quickly about the CDC guidance, as well as what that meant for our programs and our students in our schools. Because again, we wanted them to hear from us as soon as it happened, to know these are the things that you have to look forward to and that we're going to continue wearing masks. which then moved to the second part of kind of the politics, and that's Governor Newsom's June 15th kind of date of everyone saying it's all over, everything opens back up. One of the conversations that we've been having with local county public health is that this year schools have gone through a lot of back and forth in terms of our guidance. I think we've used the term fluid, not only to the board, but also with our staff. There were times when Dr. Peterson, Dr. McCormick, myself would share some information, or we would have a presentation ready to share with the principals at midday, and then by 10 minutes before the meeting we got new guidance, and so we were scrambling to change things. So the June 15th date has kind of lived in that. With that being said, Sacramento County Public Health, and Yolo County will likely follow, has made it very clear that they will not be changing school guidance for the summer. So the guidance that we are under today will be the guidance that we continue with for the summer months for our schools. And part of that is they don't want us to start with a set of guidance and then midway get a new set of guidance. So the same precautions that we've been taking, the same social distancing, the same mask requirements will all carry through our summer program. And then the county will release new guidance for the fall. And so we'll continue to update our staff. Finally, you've probably heard in the news that there's been a lot of talk about Cal OSHA and what Cal OSHA has said they will or will not do in regards to mask wearing. Really, my bullet here is to say that we will follow all guidance as required by Cal OSHA. And so at this point, that guidance says that when staff is in the workplace, they still have to wear a mask regardless of their vaccination status. And so we will be following that guidance very carefully. But once again, Cal OSHA has been very strong in their approach. Okay, next slide. That being said, are there any questions I can answer for the board?
Any comments, any questions, board members? You guys are so quiet. Well, I guess they have no comments, no questions. So,
okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for that information, both you and Dr. McCormick. Thank you for keeping us updated and letting us know where we are. And all of the board members are still hoping and praying that we will be released. Yes, Jack. You're on mute. Take you off.
I got off mute. Okay. Could you give us an update on enrollment for the summer programs sometime, maybe the next board meeting?
Yes, we can definitely do that. So Dr. McCormick and I will make a note of that to bring that to the next meeting.
And not to belabor it, sometimes you can just call me or let me know. I'm not clear on the non-classroom based, if that were to go go through the trailer bill, what does that really mean for us? And you don't have to do it today, but I'm just interested in how that would impact the GCC.
Yeah. I will also do that, but just for sake of all of our conversation, really the moratorium just would say that we cannot open a new non-classroom based program. It would have no effect on our day-to-day operations or the schools that we currently operate.
Okay, thank you.
All right. If that's all the questions and comments for this item, we will move on. We are now in consent agenda items. And the consent agenda items are adoption of GCC board meeting from the May 25th, personnel consent agenda, purchases over $30,000, revised curriculum list, empowering possibilities, EPIC curriculum list, and the 2021-22 GCC board meeting schedule. These are the consent agenda items. I will entertain a motion before discussion. Board members, may I have a motion for the consent? So move, Mr. Block.
Second.
Second. Now we're open for discussion. Are there discussions, questions, comments? You were able to get the board meeting scheduled, no comments. And all of the purchases, and you got the purchases over 30,000 of another report came out for that. So, okay, hearing no other questions or comments, roll call. Mr. Anderson,
Yes.
Mr. Block,
Yes.
Mr. Mandrick,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Campbell, yes. So the consent agenda items have been approved unanimously. All right, with that, we are moving into personnel. And personnel, we have two items, the school psychologist intern job description and the revised paraeducator's job description. Let's take, this is separate. We'll take the school psychologist intern job description. Is there someone who wants to speak to that or any comments on that item?
Madam President, both of these are just job descriptions. The school psychologist intern is a position that Dr. McCormick will utilize within her student services team. And then the revised paraeducator is just a revision to the current job description that we have.
All right. Let's take the school. Well, may I have a motion on these, on item 1, the school psychologist intern job description? Yes, Mr. Mandrick.
I would move to approve both item 1 and number 2 and item 2.
Item 1 and 2 move to approve. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved in second that we approve items 1 and 2, school psychologist job description and the revised paraeducator's job description. Any other discussion? Hearing none? No discussion? Mr. Block, did I see your hand? No, okay. Hearing none, roll call. Anderson, Mr. Anderson?
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Block?
Yes.
Mr. Mandrick?
Yes.
Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Campbell, yes. Both items have been approved. Thank you so much, board members. And now we're down to board comments. Board members, comments? Anything?
Yeah, I
Yes.
have one.
Mr. Block?
I was just gonna say that one of your students, my granddaughter, has been elected to the board of directors at Sac State College.
Oh,
Very nice.
how wonderful. Oh, that is great.
Yes.
Oh, I know that little lady was gonna do something great. Yes, we danced, we sang, she is something else. Oh, that is great. Give her our congratulations and how proud we are, please. Any other board comments? Again, would you please thank all of the members from Futures and from GIS for the treats that they sent to each of us, and Miss Melissa getting them out to us. Thank you. They don't have to do it, but it's very much appreciated to know that they do appreciate the work that we're trying to do with them. So thank you. Thank you. And again, all of your board members are saying the same thing. We can't wait to get back out there. Just to see what the schools are doing and to be a part of it. Miss the graduations and all of that. So we are just ready to get back out.
Thank you. Yes.
And thank you. Okay, Mark, Mr. Anderson, Mark.
I just want to ask Jason or Christine, when is Joy and Maury going to transition into their new roles?
So their new roles, they'll transition July 1.
Okay.
Yeah, at the beginning of the new year.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Let's see any more hands, any more questions? Anything else? The next board meeting?
The next board meeting is going to be June 25th.
June 25th, yes, that's.
Excuse me, 24th.
That's going to say the 24th.
Yes.
So board, if you'll please note that on the schedule is June, it says June 22nd, but the meeting will be June 24th. And so please make sure that you've made that changing your calendars.
Okay, was there 2 special meetings, one midday or something?
I
Was that
believe
for July?
I believe the board will, at a later date, have a special meeting that will be called for the 25th.
Okay,
Your regularly scheduled meeting will be the
right.
24th.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else for the good of the organization? Thank you, Mr. Sample, for taking the reign tonight, and Ms. McCormick, Mr. Marco, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Thornsberry, all of you for being here. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for your work. Is there anything else for the good of the organization? Hearing nothing, seeing nothing, no hands. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move we adjourn?
Move, so moved. May I have a second?
Second.
All right, it's moved in second. All in favor of the second, moved in second, voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All